Mexico's government considers suing the U.S. after the shooting in El Paso killed 7 people from Mexico.
Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now to explain. Wendy, good morning and thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Can they really sue the U.S. for this?
Well, it's a highly unusual move, and you would wonder what that kind of a lawsuit would look like. Countries don't typically sue each other, so you don't want to set that kind of a precedent, but you understand where that sentiment is coming from. I mean, Mexico is outraged that both Mexican Americans and its own citizens were among the carnage in El Paso, so you understand that they want to do something. They're frustrated, but what exactly that's going to look like is what we're talking about right now. We've heard them say everything from they want to bring a lawsuit against the gun manufacturer, they want to extradite the shooter, they want to sue the United States. They want to be involved in seeking justice for what happened in El Paso. That much is clear.
We have extradition agreements, of course, with many nations, including Mexico, but this is a much different situation here.
Yes.
And you look at the numbers right now, 2 more people died yesterday, so we're at a death toll now of 22,
That's right.
and as many as 7 were Mexican citizens. But when you look at the target there, 80% of El Paso is Latino or Hispanic.
That's right. Yes, it's a bustling border city just like San Diego is. What's unique about the crime here when you talk about extradition is you have an American citizen that committed a crime on American soil. So there's a jurisdictional problem with saying, well, we're going to extradite him anywhere. Plus, he's facing the death penalty here. But one of the things that the Mexican spokespeople have said, and they've been very clear on this, not only do they want to protect the citizens, whether they're Mexican American or whether they're Mexican nationals, but they want to become involved in the investigation and they want to access some of the information. They've been very transparent about that. They want to work with us in many respects in trying to see how did this happen, how can they prevent it from happening in the future. Perhaps what it will turn into is more of a wrongful death action than a lawsuit against the United States or an attempt to extradite the shooter. But again, we understand it's well-intentioned and we know that it's the same goals that we have in seeking justice for what happened here.
You talk about these messages, Wendy, and I just wanted to confirm this before I said it out loud, that there were 2 countries that issued travel warnings to the U.S. Venezuela and Uruguay both today said to their residents, be careful now. And I'm used to these travel warnings when I am going to Mexico.
That's
and
right.
when I am going to other places. I'm going to Mexico next year and I'm reading those. Now they're doing this to the U.S. Is there a message underlying these warnings and underlying maybe this possible lawsuit?
I think the message, which has actually been expressed in many different ways, is the availability of guns is different in the United States than it is in other countries. And part of what the Mexican spokespeople have been saying over the last couple of days, and we've heard from a variety of people, including the president of Mexico, is that those guns are making their way into Mexico. And so, too, with other countries, we do hear the same type of talk. And it's unusual, Shawley, like you said, is we're used to receiving those types of warnings as to where we may not be safe traveling, and now you hear these types of warnings being issued at other countries. Now you wonder how much of that is designed to send a message, the same kind of message that we're sending here is that this is unacceptable and it's dangerous.
If you reverse the scenario, and if you looked at if we had a Mexican citizen come and attack Americans, what would we do in America? Is there any way to look at it but just doing a 180 on the scenario here?
Yes, and that's why I mentioned the word precedent earlier, is there are many people that are speaking out saying, well, wait a minute, if Mexico has some sort of a lawsuit against the U.S. for something that happened here by a U.S. citizen, are we now going to say that we're going to sue other countries when one of our citizens are harmed by an action that takes place there? So it's like, I keep coming back to, I understand that it's well-intentioned and I understand why they would be so frustrated and want to do something, but legally, in terms of what kind of a lawsuit can be filed, that's where it gets a little murky. It's never been done, but you know, being a lawyer, I never want to say that there's not going to be some sort of creative argument. Right. I just don't know whether it would be successful, but I'm waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, as are we all.
Yeah.
Okay. Wendy Patrick, thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.